Disclaimer. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts, guests, and individuals involved. They do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of any affiliated organizations, sponsors, or partners. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional, medical, legal, or financial advice. Always consult a qualified professional regarding any questions or concerns you may have. Warning, this podcast may contain strong language, adult themes, or sensitive topics that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. By listening, you agree that the hosts and producers are not responsible for any actions you take based on the content of this program.
Hey guys, we are back with season 2, episode 6. This is our second take on this actually.
Let's make it work.
The video, the last time I lost the original file and it bombed out during post-production, so we're running it again. Just to introduce you, this is Anton De Klerk, bodybuilder, and this guy knows everything about everything with bodybuilding.
I hope so.
When it comes to that. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, we started when I was 14. I remember it was like clear as day as yesterday. Come from a strong boxing background, and I remember the coach said, "Look, you tag the guys, but they don't feel those shots. We need to get you in the gym, and we need to get some power into you, so you can just, when you touch a guy, you can rock him, get some pop in your shots." And I remember I got in the bench press. I was like, wow, this feels so good. And I responded very well. And before I knew it, I was fighting less. And I started competing in bodybuilding. And I liked it a lot. I really was good. And also as an athlete, I felt good. I never used to play rugby because I used to preserve myself for the fight game or bodybuilding. And when I did, I was actually very good at it. I'm like, yeah, you need to come and play. You got everything. You're fast. You move so good, and I was like, no, I want to do the bodybuilding. It's just the feeling of it. And before you know, when your body starts changing, it becomes an addiction. And I don't know what's the bigger addiction, the learning part, to get better, or just seeing your body change in front of you.
So it was quite nice for you. You found your passion quite early.
Yeah, it is. I remember at 16, I competed. We won that one. And I remember at 19, I beat everyone. Took everyone in the house, all the older guys in their 30s, 20s. And, when you're young like that, you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Back then we didn't have a lot of information. So the worst thing about everything is everything was very exaggerated work-wise.
Yeah.
Because we had Arnold, we had Stallone, we had the Shane Cars. So the thing is, it's very, very hard to, compose yourself. So you would just go and you want to train 4 hours and you just want to live off beef and tuna and, you really need those carbohydrates. Yeah. And I think the most accessible carbohydrate was probably the worst. It was probably bread, bread and peanut butter.
So you went through a lot of trial and error.
Yes.
To get to where you are now, and you've kind of maximized everything into a very palatable kind of structure that you can, when it comes to supplements, training, and all of that. So for guys, let's say now there's a youngster who wants to get into bodybuilding, and now he's determined he wants to get as big as he can. He wants to compete. What is his go-to? What's his game plan?
The nice thing is, he can avoid making all the mistakes that we did. Really getting the right amount of rest, the right amount of training. You don't need a lot to stimulate the muscle. You don't need to go in there and train like Ronnie Coleman. Yeah. That takes years of progressive overload.
Yes.
A lot of food over the years, but you can really, if you start small, like we spoke about the little kid who was picking up the little calf.
Yes.
And that calf grew, and as the calf grew, he got stronger. It's like starting off with a light weight and just really training and getting stronger every week. You just add a kg, just getting those adaptations going, get the muscles to really fire properly.
Yes, yeah.
You see a lot of guys, they go into the gym, they want to go the biggest weights, and for some reason they stay on those weights for years.
Yeah.
But if you start off light, you get a good rhythm, you got a nice form. Then after a while, you're going to get heavier, but the form's going to stay the same. The stimulus is going to get better. There's going to be new tissue to account for the load. And obviously the body's going to start using your fat as fuel. So you're going to get leaner and bigger at the same time, which is possible.
Yeah. So when they progress, so they start on a certain weight, would you suggest then they rather go up in smaller increments, or instead of jumping, let's say 10 kilos at a time?
Oh no, baby steps is always better.
Yeah.
It also, if you look at fight camp, the guy that starts early will always be successful
Yeah.
at the end. This is not, you don't want to rush things. If you rush it, you're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
I mean, guys that compete 4 or 5 times a year look better. I mean, the biggest mistake that we see in Olympia today is we get a guy, takes a full year off to compete once at the Olympia. And that's why if you look at the 90s bodybuilders, that's such a tighter look. There's so much more maturity, separation. That was all due from competition to competition, getting better, staying in shape, building more tissue, just getting that quality look. And it feels like it's lost,
And obviously diet is supremely important.
It's the most important.
So, what would you, if you had to just give a quick diet for a guy who's trying to train and bulk up, what's his?
So also again, diet like a beginner, you don't just really go from 5,000 calories to 1,500.
Yeah.
Fat loss, you play like a card. And the nice thing about that is if you say, for instance, I'm going to do 15 minutes cardio. Then after that, I'm going to take maybe 10% off my macros. I'm going to reduce with 10%, starting with my carbs. Starting maybe with red meat. 2 weeks later, you go into chicken. After chicken, you go into fish and then into egg whites.
Okay.
Tricking your body to get rid of the fat. Also, carb cycling is probably one of the better things that I like to do. I've had a lot of success with carb cycling, rather doing the keto diets. You flat out. When you start doing them, you start looking a bit better because the carbs, the water is going to be less. But that's not necessarily fat loss.
Okay. So let's also get on to the next, the big elephant in the room, is you're going to get these youngsters who are now getting into bodybuilding, and immediately they want to start jumping onto their steroids.
You know what? The steroids will never do the work for you.
Yeah.
And we've seen it many times where guys rely on drugs and they're unsuccessful. It's a scary thing that, I'll be in the gym and a guy starts talking about steroids and he barely looks like he lifts. And he's talking about all these compounds. And I remember, when you speak to a professional bodybuilder, they're so conservative. It's mainly the food that's going to do the work for you to get those protein synthesis going. You're going to hit a plateau, and then you're going to get confronted with when's the right time to take steroids. And there's never a right time. I would say that it's a personal decision. If you're going to compete and there's money on the line, then you can do it as healthy as you possibly can. Remember, the thing is with steroids is these compounds is going to add oxidative stress to your body, and there's going to be water retention that comes with inflammation.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to be very, how can I say, clever when you do this. Looking at compounds that's not going to give you a lot of water retention, looking at dosages that's very conservative, that's going to add the lean tissue, but also allow the diet to get you into a place for protein synthesis, to build that tissue for the body to get rid of the fat. There's no real reason to be going into, I've seen cycles, and, the scary thing is, like, for instance, Boston Lloyd was the first guy to break it on YouTube and talk about stupid doses. He passed away at 29 years old.
Sure. Sad.
And, that could have been avoided. And he never won a pro show. He was doing like the entry-level shows in America, and he couldn't even qualify for the nationals. And so if drugs was so amazing, and this guy was sponsored by all the best labs, pharmaceuticals, he would have been a pro, but he wasn't. So the thing is, if you have good genetics, I would say, making sure you get the right amount of rest, getting the maximum out of your training, not overtraining, making sure you get the maximum amount of your nutrition. This is a sport that's very balanced. If you get your balance right, you're going to build nice tissue. You're going to build a pleasing physique. But if you're going to diet yourself into the ground where your body's going to use muscle tissue as fuel, your body's going to go into a stage where it's actually going to preserve fat. It goes in, because when your cortisol spikes, your body goes into a mode for survival. And this is going to cause your body to react differently. Your lifts, you're going to, a common sign is if you losing strength, you long overdue for a break, especially your grip strength. You should back off. You need to know when to give and when to back off. And a lot of guys, when they get ready for a show, they make this mistake. They want to train seven days a week, sometimes twice a day, 2 hours cardio, and that's just going to build a lot of inflammation. You're not going to get that good physique. You have to be very balanced and precise with your diet to get that nice physique. I remember when a prep's done well, you have a lot of energy, You're very healthy because there's no sugar in your system. You're going to get the best out of your training, and you're going to feel, look here, I've got a pump. And you get to a stage where you actually lose that pump while you're training. That's a good sign for you to already, or to back
Take
off.
a break.
Yeah.
So I tell it to my fighters all of the time. I tell them that it's part and parcel of your training, and you've mentioned it a couple of times already, is rest.
Rest is key. I mean, if you recover good, you're going to get the best out of your training. I mean, if you take a day off, maybe sometimes even 2 days after, a week, which is hard for me to do as well. I'm very passionate because I enjoy training.
Yeah.
But taking 2 days off a week is going to make you stronger in your lifts. And it's also going to reduce your risk for injury.
So with rest, we've got different types of rest.
Yes.
Your sleeping. What is happening while you're resting, and then taking days off? What's happening there?
So one thing that I like is when you're going to rest, this is your time to do the stuff that you like. If you're a golfer, go play golf because it's an active rest. You're going to be active. If you're a fisherman, you're going to be active. Go catch some fish. You're obviously going to stick to your diet. On days of rest, you're going to reduce your calories slightly.
Yeah.
That's also just going to minimize the risk for you to go into a place where you're not in a deficit, so you're not burning fat.
Okay.
But at least you're burning fat in a way that's a positive way. You're enjoying it. So which means there's no cortisol spikes, there's no, unnecessary hormones that's going to go out of bounds. It's very important not to put 110% in bodybuilding. I've seen too many times when they put 110% in it, and a lot of guys are going to disagree with me, say, no, you have to do the 110 to win.
Yeah.
In my experience, the guy that's going to walk with the hoodie, with his Tupperware 7 days a week, you're going to diet your thyroid into the ground. So what's going to happen if you have no thyroid? Obviously, you're going to get constipated. Your body's going to try and hold on to nutrients. The second part is your lifts are going to go down. You're going to start losing muscle tissue. So when you're under those lights, under the stage, and you present your work, you're not going to be aesthetically as pleasing. And many times they're going to say, oh, but I needed more carbs, or I made a mistake of spilling. So 9 out of 10 times you don't need a ton of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
You're probably going to need a bit more rest so your body can get rid of all that inflammation. And we've seen it too many times. If you take a day off and you go back to gym, you look fuller, you look vascular, you perform better, the pumps are more pleasing. And, that's not even from carbohydrates because you were still in a deficit.
Yes. So, and sleep-wise, how many hours would you suggest?
I'm a firm believer of 8 hours. And if you're a person that can sleep more, I would say sleep more because that's when you grow. More often than not, we're not going to get that 8 hours.
Yeah.
But you need to strive to get it. So that's also nutrition timing is very important to have your carbohydrates before and after training. And before you sleep, because when you take carbohydrates before you sleep, it's going to lower your cortisol. So which means you're going to have better rest. You're going to fall asleep quicker.
Interesting.
You're going to have less inflammation in your body. So nutrition timing is very important. And also, when do you grow? When you sleep. When you do need those carbohydrates? When you sleep. You're in a deficit, so you're not going to get fat. There used to be an old story like guys would keep their carbohydrates until the evening. So if I didn't have any carbohydrates, my workout's going to suck.
Yeah.
I mean, you need energy
of course, yes.
to train. And that's going to drive your pumps, everything. The stimulus is going to come from the carbohydrates.
Yeah. Now, dealing with injuries, we were talking about it where you said to me the peptides is the future.
It is.
So tell me more about peptides.
So I think also one of the things that a lot of people want to hear about is the retatrutide.
Okay.
So, that's a triple agonist, which actually you had the Ozempic, but then we got the retatrutide that's replaced it because Ozempic was more to lose a bit of fat, more muscle, and then bone density. And there was a lot of side effects associated with it. AL, some people actually got blind from it.
Oh, wow.
It slows down your digestion. So as a bodybuilder, that's the last thing that you want.
Yeah.
If you eat your normal calories, you're going to feel nausea. You're going to feel like you want to throw up. So that's also, you don't want to feel bad. But with the retatrutide, we've seen blood markers get better. Fasted insulin, sugar goes down. So, it's making people healthier. And it's burning a ton of fat. I really don't like it too much because it's actually so aggressive that the more you eat on it, the problem is people don't eat enough on it because The Ozempics wanted you not to eat, but this is eat. It's just going to fire up your metabolism, your mitochondria to burn that energy efficiently.
Tell me about your, there were two that's on the market, the TB and the BPC.
Oh, that's the Wolverine stack. So that's ligaments, tendons, it's going to heal. It also recovery for your muscles. It heals quicker. There's some muscle growth associated with BPC and TB.
Yeah.
I've got a few doctor friends that actually started using it in their practice. I mean, because it heals the heart, there's nothing better for your gut than BPC. It's probably one of the better things in your gut is your second brain.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that they do to help with inflammation. They do so much, and it's probably one of the things that you really need in your stack to stay super healthy. It increases collagen synthesis. I mean, it helps with hair growth. It helps with even wrinkles because the collagen synthesis is going to help you hide those, the sun marks, so we're going to age, but if we can combat that with the peptides, why not? It's wellness.
Yeah.
I mean, also some of the peptides, GHK is also very good for lowering inflammation, help with collagen synthesis, really tightens up the skin. So as an athlete, you really want your skin as tight as possible. So for instance, if you really diet down and you go into those dark places, your muscles shrink. The muscle goes away from the skin.
Okay.
So your definition is going to actually blur. It's actually known as skinny fat. So to really it's like if you have a balloon and you blow it up, it looks nice, it's full. Yeah. But if you let some air out, it's going to look a bit shrivelled up. It doesn't look nice. It's not pleasing. And the same thing happens to your body. Your body is used to having a certain amount of volume.
Yeah.
So the reason when we diet is when we go into a deficit, we get smaller, but your muscles actually create more cells to hold glycogen. So when you refill them, you can actually hold up to 20% more glycogen than normal. So now you fill up. Now you're actually going to you're looking at 20% bigger on stage. Why not? And then also if your hydration is right, your carbohydrates are right, you're going to stride. You're going to be full.
Yeah.
And that's the look that you want. Back in the day, we used to play around with diuretics that will really take away that look that you really want, that you had in mind, that you were seeing in the gym. And you would see this a lot. I was always good last week or week after the show. And that really aggravates the hell out of me because it has happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
Because then the peak week happens. And this is where everything goes south. So a lot of bodybuilders...
The peak week's just before comp.
Just before comp. The peak week, the hell week. And that ruins more physiques than ever. I mean, I can write so many books about this. Now you're already in a deficit, but hey, let's make the deficit more. Let's cut out all carbs. And the thing is, the more muscle tissue you have, the longer it takes for the glycogen to get in there. So you're going to give your body, if you're an open class competitor, you're going to get 3 days to refill glycogen.
Yeah.
The bigger you are, the longer it takes. So are you sure 3 days are enough? Because now you're depleted even further.
Yeah.
So that means more tissue has lost glycogen. So the right way would be is if you got 80% of carbohydrates, go down to 50 and then bring it back to 100. That's a good load. You don't need nothing more than that. If your hydration is going to be good, it's going to be perfect. It's a big problem that a lot of guys do. Potassium. They load up potassium. So potassium has got a way of getting water at the cellular level. It's going to fill out the muscles quickly.
Yeah.
But the problem is we tend to have too much of that. If I eat any carbohydrate, there's too much potassium already. If I'm going to be eating dates and then take like a slow K potassium, that's going to drop my blood pressure. No blood pressure, that's going to cause all the water to seep under the skin. So that's going to blur your definition. And to add insult to injury, you have no blood pressure, so there's no pump.
So you lose striation.
You lose striations. And when you have no pump, you have no blood pressure. So for a thing that a lot of people don't know is the lethal injection is potassium chloride. So they slowly drop your blood pressure until you... So that's a big no. And then to make matters even worse is, for some reason, I don't know where this came from. I think it was actually some biohacker created this to sabotage their opposition.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the internet came out, there was a lot of things of stop eating salt. The dumbest thing ever. So the moment you stop eating salt, your body's going to counter with aldosterone.
Okay.
And that's going to give you water retention. You're going to fill out. If you got that deaf face with the holes and everything.
Yeah. We see it a lot of the MMA.
You see it a lot.
When the guys stand on the scale.
But the problem with that is, if you have no sodium, aldosterone is going to kick in, and the aldosterone is actually a hormone to help your heart not from cramping. So to help you not go into a cardiac arrest.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
It's crazy. That's the risks that are in bodybuilding, and people's like, now stop eating salt. I'll actually flush out more salt by drinking distilled water. That's the stuff they're doing. Radiator water, they drink it. Why? Sodium is going to help you fill out. It's going to give you a tighter look. It's going to give you a pump. They can actually go test this. Take a bit more salt before you train and look at your pump. Did you get softer? No. If you have too much salt, guess what happens? You pee it out. It's as simple as that. They actually did a study in the military in America where they took the whole base or whatever, whoever wanted to participate. They would check the blood levels. I can't remember exactly what was the milligrams of sodium they had, but the body would maintain that even if they had to stop eating salt. The only thing that happened is the urine had less salt. So the body actually will help preserve salt. And the thing is also, if you carb loading, your small intestine sodium dependent. To get that glycogen in the muscle, you need salt.
Yeah. How long does the salt take to get into your system? I'll tell you what I'm asking. We had two things that came up. It was drinking some bicarb in water about 90 to 60 minutes before training. And then the other one was a banana with some salt sprinkled on.
Oh, yes. We do the exact same thing. So let's go back to the bicarb. Did you know that bicarb is illegal in horse racing?
Illegal.
Illegal. It's considered a PED because it enhances performance.
Oh, really?
It does.
Well,
it really does.
Then that makes sense because the thing was getting some bicarb in some water before training, about an hour or so before training. And then it'll help you last through your training session.
It does give you that extra gear that you're looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, the bicarb of soda actually does so much more. It's anti-cancer. It helps with your pH levels. It lowers uric acid. So if you have less inflammation in your body, you're just going to be able to just go, which is good. And another thing, if you look at guys that rely too much on performance enhancements.
Yeah.
For instance, if you see the white collar events, these guys would dive into the strongest cycle they can because it's going to make them stronger. No, it doesn't. It's just going to rob you from your endurance. I normally sit and I watch the spots and I tell the guys, okay, let's time them 30 seconds. He's going to gas. See the shoulders.
Yeah.
And 30 seconds later, arms are
dead.
They did it all wrong. And you know what's the common enemy there was the estrogen.
Yeah.
So it was as good as this guy fighting himself, because with testosterone comes estrogen. And the more fat cells you have, the more estrogen you can have because of the 5-alpha reductase. Problem there is now you have all this extra weight to move around. And now the breathing is also compromised because a lot of their water goes in your heart, around your heart, your lungs, your digestive system. That's why they battle to eat. Their blood pressure goes through the roof. That's going to kill your performance off.
So the banana with salt's also a good thing.
Fantastic. That's one of the things. So when I carb load, I would have 2 bananas while I'm training with some maltodextrin.
Okay.
This is the first time I worked with a coach in 2013, an international coach. And he told me, salt, banana, so now you get your potassium. And we would actually add some vitamin C and magnesium into the dextro drinks.
Your ascorbic acid.
Yeah. And that's really, you can see your body change because now you're in a depleted state. So you've emptied out your muscles.
Yeah.
But you still, once you get those carbohydrates in, you have to refill them. So the better way to do it is go to the lagging body parts and fill out there because the glycogen is in the blood. So wherever you're going to pump, it's going to start storing it.
Yeah.
And that really works. It really does create a better look. It gives you that 3D look. A lot of guys, they'll have a weak upper chest.
Yeah. You
attack those parts that you lack. So when you get to the stage, you have an aesthetically pleasing look. You don't lack any muscles. You're nice, hard, grainy.
I like it. Because two more things I want to touch on quickly is not diet supplements and the lack of correct information on social media.
Yes.
So let's start with the supplements. What supplements would you suggest to the guy who's now getting into the bodybuilding?
So we have to get into the fundamentals. Creatine,
Okay.
magnesium, glutamine, especially for your gut. A low calorie whey protein, because if you don't, whey protein works quickly. If we go back to creatine has so many benefits. It's actually the only supplement that's going to help you with your mood. Increases serotonin, dopamine in the front temporal lobe. You feel amazing. So when you train, you really feel good as well. It's gonna restore ATP. It's gonna fill out your muscles quicker. So when I do carb up, I'm also going heavy on the creatine.
Okay.
To debunk a few myths. Back in the day, they used to believe, no, don't take creatine, it's going to give you water retention. In the beginning, you're going to get some water retention because your body needs to fight homeostasis. And once the creatine's in your system for quite a bit, you'll go back to normal. Your body just needs to find its balance. So the longer you're on your creatine, the better. Normally, they say about 5 grams. I've seen excellent results on 10 grams, but this depends, it varies from person to person. So to stay safe, do stick to your 5 grams. Also, creatine and creatinine are two different things. Creatine does not cause damage in your kidneys. That's also one of the old stories that was associated with the water retention.
Yeah.
The reason why creatinine goes up in your kidneys is because if you train with weights, the lactic acid goes in your kidneys, and that's going to drive up your creatine, but it's normal. Your body will recover.
You get 2 types of creatine. It's the HCl and...
Yeah, so normally...
I can't remember the other one now.
The monohydrate. So I like the word when they say hydrate.
Yeah.
Because we get carbohydrates, water, hydrate. So if you fully hydrate a cell, it's going to be fuller.
Okay.
If you can hydrate, you can strive. So with that being said, creatine is going to help you give you that fuller appearance.
What is the difference?
The difference is actually nothing. The one supposed to, the HCl, which is a hydrochloride one, so it's considered to be a purer form.
Okay.
And the reason why they came up with this, back in the day, we used to have the Celtac, which they banged a lot of sodium into it so you can hold more water in your muscles. That was the science back then. And a lot of guys would say that they got bloated because there was so much dextrose in it. It's like drinking syrup.
Okay.
And so the marketing guy said, well, we can create a creatine with no water retention. Our creatine is good. But the best form of creatine is a monohydrate. It's the purest, it's the rawest, and that's going to work better for you.
Okay.
I like mine with my whey protein in the morning. I like slamming everything in there. Collagen, creatine, glutamine. I got the whey protein in there. Sometimes to make it taste like sour milk, throw some arginine in there.
Good to know.
You eat for function and not for taste.
And then moving on to like social media and so much of the false information out there, the bad information.
Oh, yes.
Where is the, besides getting a hold of you, and we'll get onto how they can contact you afterwards, but if they had to go online, what are the more reliable sources online?
It's hard because everything Google is marketing related.
Yeah.
I mean, you see on the Google ads where there's a guy that comes on there and he would say, creatine does not build muscle. My bro, I need to sit down with you. There's a lot of meta-analysis and studies and citations that I can show you that it does in fact build muscle. And it actually builds twice the amount of muscle it would if you take it post-training.
Yes.
But I like the creatine for the anti-aging property, so I'll take it first thing in the morning. Yes, it does. Anything that helps mitochondria, it's going to help you anti-age.
Yeah. Okay, so like when they're looking for sources, rather find, because I find that a lot of people that put information, whether it's TikTok or wherever, is that they're putting up information on something they've heard from somebody else, and there's very few people out there who are putting information online there from trial and error themselves. But then I think it's also sometimes it comes to a situation of this worked for me, so I'm telling you about this and you got to go and play with it. I think that's probably the person.
There's a lot of good information out there, but the problem is too much information. In the military, they've got a saying, noise, and too much information becomes noise because how much information before it becomes a kitchen sink? You see, so and that's the first thing when you work with international coach. When they give you a program block, there's nothing special there. And it's like, no, you're special already. You just need refinement. You're going to train on the days that you need to train. You're going to do your cardio when I tell you to, and you're going to eat what I tell you to eat. The only bummer with this is the coach will look at your physique and change your diet according to your physique. So I remember once we spent a whole lot of money and he told me, you're too full, we need to deplete you. And a week and a half later, it's like, oh no, we need to go back on red meat. You lack so much fullness.
Yeah.
I think I still have some of that hake in my fridge.
Okay, so if the guys had to go and look for a coach, what are the telltale benchmarks that they need to see from this coach to know that it's okay, this is a reputable coach?
So a good coach will look after your health before anything else.
Okay.
And you know what, he will really try to get you as healthy as possible and in order to get you to your best self. Look, if you don't have a healthy liver, your body is not going to make gains. I've seen guys that had stenosis where there's the arteries are blocked. And one of the telltale signs that they had this condition was they couldn't make any progress in the gym. So in order to get the most out of your body, you need to be healthy. And they're going to help you with that. You know, if a coach sits down and say, okay, tell me about your supplements, tell me about your training, tell me about your nutrition, you know, they will hammer on nutrition more than anything else.
Yes.
I would say the most expensive part of this journey is being healthy. And it's a good thing. I mean, when you live this lifestyle, you literally don't age.
Yeah.
Time really stands still. I mean, you really don't age as fast as other people, especially training with weights increases NAD. NAD is an anti-aging hormone in your body. So that's one of the things. Training with weights has got a lot of benefits. And the sooner you start, the better. I mean, if you look at how it prevents depression, when you train with weights, it actually creates a, what they call it, there's this in your brain actually changes that you forget traumatic events.
Oh, wow.
Which is very profound. I mean, also...
And I think also your confidence
goes
up. You look good, you feel good,
I think it's just that, you know, the more you practice positive things, you become a positive person.
100%.
I mean, now you're in the gym, you want to get better, everything's positive. I remember before a show, I can't get angry.
Yeah.
You know, things would go south, you know, there would be obstacles. I was like, I just have more work to do. Everything's more work. Oh, no, I need more lines. Okay, I need more this, that. Everything's work related. We don't have real problems. As long as my heart's beating, I can work and fix it.
That's good. Well, as we end off, tell us, how do people get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me on Instagram, Thundercat86. I'm more than happy to give advice, help, point them in the right direction, especially a healthy direction.
Yeah.
Also, with the guys that's new to this, guys and girls, we can always, you know, get them a healthier version of themselves, the best version of themselves. You know, I think it's so good nowadays that, you know, we can help one another. I remember when I was training for a comp and I had no idea what I was doing, and there was a big fella and he said, you know, he told me, do you have a pen and paper? Write this down. And the thing is, you know, if you look at other influencers, they will always tell you the mistakes that's being made. Yeah. But they will never tell you what's the right path. It's as good as I go to a mechanic, says, no, this and this is wrong.
Yeah.
No, fix my car. Don't tell me what's wrong. Do what needs to be done and give me the car. And that's exactly the same thing. So a lot of coaches, they know exactly where's the problem, but where's the solution? And the nice thing is, you know, if they can get hold of you, get hold of myself, you know, there's a lot of things that we can do to get them better. Especially when you start out on this journey, I mean, there's a lot of mistakes that I made. And, you know, you don't want everyone else to make that same mistakes, because if you do your first competition and you don't have the genetics, you're going to rely on the right amount of information. You get a lot of guys that's genetically blessed and they can just get away with everything. They can drink full cream milk and eat pop and they will make gains. But for a lot of other people, it's not the same. They're going to need the most advanced scientific approach in order to make changes to their physique.
And that's where they get a hold of Anton. But guys, thank you very much for being here. For Anton, appreciate you so much.
Hope this helps, guys.
Please get a hold of him if you need information. Get a hold of me to get a hold of him if you need to. And keep an eye for episode 7. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, guys.